So number 14 asks, with what initial velocity, so it's a question asking for v sub 0, must be object thrown upwards from an initial height of 3 meters. So I'm going to call that s sub 0 is equal to 3 to reach a maximum height of 150 meters. So I'm going to say max height equals 150, and assume the acceleration a of t is equal to 9.8 meters per second. And we're going to call that negative because it's thrown upwards. So we know that that's acting in a downward direction. Okay, so given all that, the question is asking for initial velocity. And my equations, the three that you really should have memorized, well, the two, are v of t is equal to at plus v of 0, and s of t is equal to 1/2 at squared plus v sub 0 t plus s sub 0. Given all that, let's do some substitutions and see what we can kind of ascertain here. I know that initial height is 3, so I can build the function s of t is equal to 1/2 a would be negative 4.9 t squared plus, again, I don't know my initial velocity, but I do know that my height is 3. Well, I do know that at max height, when the object is reached at the top, I know at max height that v is equal to 0. So I could possibly start to figure out some of these things by saying, at what time is v equals 0? So we're going to do that. At what time is v equal to 0? And v is equal to 0, if I go back up here, 0 is equal to negative 9.8 t plus v sub 0. That is occurring when t is equal to v sub 0 over 9.8. So let's take that and substitute it in here for t. So I would get, let's see, at max height, so I know that 150 is equal to negative 4.9. T squared would be v sub 0 squared over 9.8 squared plus v sub 0 times v sub 0 over 9.8 plus 3. So then I can get 147 is equal to, we can factor a v sub 0 out, a v sub 0 squared out, and get a 1 over 9.8 minus 4.9 over 9.8 squared. And then you can just divide and take the square root and get an approximation for v sub 0 that way. That's about as far as I want to go by doing this by hand. Well, we could go a little bit further. If I do a least common denominator of 9.8 squared, I would get v sub 0 squared over, this would be 4.9 over 9.8 squared. And then I could get v sub 0 is equal to 147 times 9.8 squared over 4.9. This would be squared, so that would be all under a square root. That's what you can type into a calculator.